Well, hello friends. It has been a very, very long time. Happy New Year. Happy 2026. I'm August. I am reading. It's been a hot minute. I really genuinely hope you're doing okay. You're doing well. Yeah, the start of this year has not been ideal in the world news, political news, personal. It's been really challenging, and when that happens, I consistently, at my core, gravitate towards wanting to read and wanting to find community again. I think despite everything that happens and is happening, I think that intrinsic pull to come back to booktube, to come back to YouTube, to come back to reading, to finding a community is one of the most innate human beautiful feelings, and it has felt like a longing. So thank you so much for being here. I hope that we can find comfort together, and I hope we can find some amazing books and chat about reading. It is currently a polar vortex where I am right now. We are, I think, -8 degrees. My pipes in my house are frozen. With it being a polar vortex, I want to stay inside and read. I also have a lot of film I need to scan, which I'm really, really excited about, and I'm just going to be kind of posted up. I have been reading this year, and I really want to talk about a few things I'm reading. The first book that I read this year in 2026 was Oddbody by Rose Keating. This is an Irish author. Nowhere on the cover of this book nor on the back, and there's no actual plot description, does it even say that this is a short story collection, but alas, it is a short story collection. This was so delightful. A lot of magical realism. The first story is so beautiful, about everyone who kind of has mental health struggles, has a ghost follow them around, and other people can see the ghost as well. And that's the titular story in here, called Oddbody. That one was just so wonderful. This writing style is so delicious to me because it perfectly paints scenes and pictures and emotions with very minimal word usage. I think the language is pretty rudimentary and very accessible, but still so colorful, very vibrant and bold, and I just feel like it really reflects the primary colors of this beautiful design as well. Exquisite story collection. I really, really loved it. It was a great way to start the year. I just wanted to read it. It was so easy to read. I personally enjoyed Oddbody, Squirm, Next to Cleanliness, and The Vegetable. I remember those pretty well. If you hear any background noise, my heat is about to kick on. Then I read my first Balzac, and I am very astonished. I haven't read Balzac yet. I've been wanting to, and I found an edition, a used edition of The Unknown Masterpiece. Didn't realize that there were actually 2 stories in here because The Unknown Masterpiece is such a short story. This is also translated by Richard Howard. The second story in here is Gambara. I DNF'd that one. The Unknown Masterpiece is a grand total of 42 pages, and I enjoyed it. I think I only annotated one line in here, but it's not the mission of art to copy nature, but to express it. Remember, artists aren't mere imitators, they're poets. So it is this reflective story about what it means to be an artist and what it means to try to translate everything you see, every emotion, everything that you want to such a point of perfection that the maybe original meaning or original concept gets totally lost. But there's so many meanings that this short story could have, and I thought it was really wonderful. I definitely recommend it, especially because it is so short. I just couldn't get into Gambara. That one was just a little too tedious for me and not really something I was incredibly interested in, especially because the story swayed itself from a dinner party atmosphere where you're meeting a lot of different characters at once to focusing and transcribing almost an entire opera that one of the characters is composing. And it was explaining all of the music and all of its different chords. So maybe if you're musically inclined, that one would be more interesting, but for me personally, I had no idea what we were talking about. It was a slog to get through. It was taking me days to read it, so I knew I wasn't entirely interested in that one, and it is okay to put something down if you're not fully invested. But I did read my first Balzac, and it will be the first of many more, hopefully. Then I read Bonjour Tristesse by Françoise Sagan. This is translated from French, Irene Ash. This is a summer vacation beach read. We're following, I think she's 16 years old, 17-year-old girl named Cecile, and she lives with her father. They're staying in this beautiful villa on a summer vacation, and he brings the woman that he's currently seeing. A family friend comes to visit, and it's this weird love quadrangle talking about just a lot of relationships and dynamics. What's really interesting is that this author, she wrote this and started writing it when she was 18 years old. So there is this like youthful, naive main character who is just trying to do good, and it's kind of her experiencing self-consciousness for the first time, or self-awareness. So it was good. I just unfortunately didn't find this very memorable personally. I thought it was a great beach read. If you are able to find an edition, I think this is a great little vacation book. I flew through it. It's very, very short, very readable, accessible, super fun, but it's not my favorite. So there's that. Now currently, this is First Fruits by Penelope Evans. This is a very underground book that was originally published in 2000 by a Scottish author. Very slow moving, very slowly paced. Its pacing does remind me quite a bit of O Caledonia, which I have yet to finish. And this is a book that I picked up this past fall, and I just couldn't really get super into it. I knew I liked it and I wanted to finish it. It just didn't really feel that compelling at the time. It's not even slow and it's not even boring. It's just the language is very flat. It's very bland. They did this, they did that, they did this, then I did that, then we went to the bus, then we went to school, then we did this. It's so bland, but I like it. It's like eating unseasoned mashed potatoes to me. It's still warm and comforting, and it just doesn't have enough flavor, but I'm still gonna eat it because it's warm and comforting, and I want to see where it goes. Like maybe at the end of this book, there will be a boat of gravy that I can add on top of my mashed potatoes. I want to see where this goes because this follows our main character. She has a preacher for a father, but he is very egocentric, narcissistic. He seems like a master manipulator, and she is very aware that he has this control over other people, and he has taught it to her. So it's a lot of like kind of sociopathic and psychopathic tendencies, where they call their gift "you have it," which is the ability to be so magnetic, so charming, that anyone will just fall in love with you. So she has this charm that she calls it, but it's clear that she has at least bare minimum an emotionally abusive father, and it's her navigating these really uncomfortable situations at school where she befriends a new girl, which is just trying to win over the new girl and then psychologically damage and torment her by gaslighting her, by giving her the cold shoulder, and then acting super lovey. So she like pushes and pulls with love in a puppeteer mastering way. And it's clear that she learned this gift from her father. Gift, I put in quotation marks here, from her father, who runs the community through church and religion and all these things. So it's so fascinating. It is psychological in that sense. I just don't know where it's going, that it's going to turn into a thriller, because I am nearing halfway and I have yet to see anything incredibly daring or scary. It is all just kind of like bubbling at the surface. We are getting hints that there's something more to her relationship with her father, that he's abused her in some way. We just don't know what way yet, which is very unsettling. So this is a very, very slow unraveling. It's very different. I think it teeters more onto literary fiction than anything else. Today's cleaning day, and I actually found this itty bitty microphone that my family gave me for Christmas many years ago, specifically for BookTube, and I never used it. So I'm trying it now because our neighbor has a passionate love for his snowblower. This Sunday, it's been a very slow day, and I read a little bit yesterday of First Fruits. And what I wanted to chat a little bit more in depth about were these characters because they're very, very interesting. We are reading from the perspective of our main character, Kate. She's in an all-girls school and a new girl comes in. Her name is Lydia. And Kate isn't interested in making friends as much as it's a power play. She has one friend, quote unquote, named Hillary, who is actually just a big fangirl of Kate. And Kate really couldn't care less about Hillary, but in order to keep her strung along, Kate will randomly give Hillary scraps of attention, scraps of affection, which is something that a lot of manipulators use this tactic to keep people kind of breadcrumbed along and wanting to be by her side and be supportive. So they're a duo. There's also another really interesting character in this novel named Moira, and the way she's described as being maybe not all emotionally present. There's either Kate just can't stand Moira for whatever reason because she's unreadable, because Kate can't win her over with her charm, the magnetic quality that she can turn on and get teachers to do whatever she wants, or have students fall in love with her, or have boys fall in love with her. Moira is an exception to that rule. And so randomly throughout this book that's being narrated by Kate, it's almost as if we are reading from her diary that's going straight from what she's perceiving the world and how she's perceiving it, and feeding it directly to us, but she's still almost addressing the audience in a sense. It's a really interesting writing style, and randomly she'll just think about Moira and be so disgusted with this girl, and Moira honestly doesn't do anything. And I think that's what really frustrates Kate, is Moira is just kind of this void of a person that Kate can't manipulate in any way. The ways that Kate manipulates Lydia is the new girl, Lydia, is just heinous. It's really uncomfortable to read because there's nothing physically abusive about this. It is all emotional manipulation, and it is really interesting to read it from a character who is so aware and well versed in what she's doing, and she knows exactly what she's doing. And we get insight into that, and we get to see it and be firsthand accounts of somebody manipulating someone, and then we also get to see how that person reacts to Kate's charm. And it's so interesting. And so far we have met quite a few characters who seem immune to Kate's powers, or what she considers her powers. What I'm really curious about is how much of this is so in her own head that she thinks so highly of herself. Her father is the same way, where he thinks he's really magnetic, charismatic, very charming, and it's clear what we're reading from Kate. Like, some people, some of these characters don't they get an icky vibe from these people like right away. They can immediately sense that there's something wrong and not everything is as it seems. I'm trying to think of any like specific ways that Kate has tormented Lydia. I think a lot of it really is this push-pull with attention, keeping attention away from Lydia. And then when it seems like Lydia gives up hope of, okay, I'm not going to be able to be friends with Kate, she doesn't like me, Kate gives her a scrap of attention again, this kind of breadcrumbing. Kate ends up persuading Lydia to spend the weekend at her house. And a repetitive quotation in this book is, attention shared is attention halved. And it's because Kate is so oppressed by her preacher father, and obviously is burdened with a lot of emotional abuse from him, this very puritanical lifestyle. And so having Lydia there, Kate knows that her father is going to try to win Lydia over with his personality. And Lydia immediately falls for his charms. She kind of develops this very interesting crush on Kate's father. And I can't really tell if it is like a fatherly role. She's just kind of admiring him because he is just so enigmatic. And Lydia has just never met anyone like that before other than Kate.
And Lydia doesn't even really seem to like Kate all that much, but now she's really interested in spending more time at Kate's home because she's so interested in her father. I am on chapter 13, page 142. Kate just spent the night at Lydia's house. This really was her first encounter with a stereotypical nuclear family and what it's like to be with a loving maternal figure. She's never had that in her life. And it's so interesting to read from her perspective how being cared for the first time by a maternal figure feels familiar to her in some way. I think it's unlocking some sort of emotion in her, which I think is really, it's just so sad and beautiful. But then at the same time, the next paragraph will be she's still doing something heinous to Lydia, or treating someone poorly. And even though now Kate is so interested in pleasing Lydia's mother, like that's all she wants to do is to be in Lydia's mother's good graces. And it's so interesting because she's also like starting to, it almost seems like hypersexualize herself around Lydia's father. Like she is just playing into all of these different characters and what she thinks that they might want from her, or any way that she can get attention in the way that she wants it. It's very curated, very calculated, very, very vicious character to read from. And she is so young, but she's so aware of so many things, including herself and what she's doing, which I think is really, really interesting to read from. So that is where I'm at right now. So I'm in my studio currently, and this is like one of the only rooms in my house that actually gets light. Just trying to utilize this space a little bit more where I actually want to be up here more frequently. And I think this little corner would be perfect to find. I am manifesting a beautiful, colorful, vintage armchair on the cheap. I might swing by a few places tomorrow to check out if I can find a vintage armchair. And I still have 2 more rolls of film I need to scan. So I think I'm going to do that while I listen to Love by Toni Morrison. This is my second Morrison. I read Tar Baby many years ago, and for some reason I just haven't been able to bring myself to read any more by Toni Morrison, even though I loved Tar Baby so much. There is this like intimidation factor with reading her because she's so well revered and well known that I still have not been able to read The Bluest Eye or Beloved. I will check in with you soon. I really hope this audio worked out. I feel like a little influencer.
I finished First Fruits. I really wish that I enjoyed this more than I did. The last 12 pages were this whiplash, this happened, and you're turning your head in every single direction. There was more plot in these last 12 pages than in the entire novel, and it took 230 pages to work up to that massive dump of revelation and understanding, and it still left me with a lot of lingering questions, unfortunately. This is such a slow burn read, and I don't think I would have stuck with it unless there were blurbs talking about it being a psychological thriller. I would never have thought this was a psychological thriller. It just feels like this sizzling about, is it gonna boil over? Like we're just watching a pot of water slowly simmering for 230 pages. Like, is it? Ooh, is it gonna spill over? Is it coming now? You know, like if this is my potato analogy of the boiled potatoes. We're watching the potatoes in the pot trying to boil. We get interesting character analysis. I think we get to know people on a very interesting psychological level through the lens of this teenage girl. But the format and the pacing, as well as my own personal interests and what I enjoy writing style-wise, like this just didn't really hit the mark for me. It started to concern me a little bit that it might have put me in a reading slump, because directly after finishing this, I immediately went to my bookshelves to think about what I wanted to read next. I was just perusing, and I'm such a mood reader, and every book I picked up, honestly, I started reading it in the cadence of this. Oh, my heat just kicked on, which is great. We are still in the polar vortex. It is like day 5 or 6 of my frozen pipes as well. I think the intention behind this shorter sentence structure makes sense for reading from a teenager's perspective. It sounds like she's writing in a diary or trying to talk to us, like she is clearly addressing the audience, whoever is reading it. Maybe it's her future self, or maybe it is us, we don't know. And with that, there is just this like flair for the dramatics. It's very punctuated. This time he knew, it's the last precious thing I have. Now it's time to let it go. Hand the secret over. Let him put it where it belongs, in safekeeping. Or better still, just kill it. He has given me everything I need. There's nothing else I want. There's nothing else I need to know. I am who I am, his daughter. 250 plus pages of that type of writing style really got to me, and it felt like I was just put through a washing machine a little bit. The ending felt so whiplashy, so sudden. I don't think it really flowed well with the pacing of the rest of this novel. Like, it just felt so abrupt, and it was juicy. I was flying through the end of it, and then of course the novel just concludes, and that's it. That's all you got. And yeah, this one just didn't particularly work for me. I am happy I read it and I can actually know the ending and what happened. I think often with books where it's teetering on what could be a 3-star book, which is just kind of middle of the road, I'll probably forget about it, but it was enjoyable in the moment. Like, oftentimes what keeps me going and I don't decide to DNF it is because the curiosity gets me. I just want to know what happens. Was it worth it? Probably not for me personally, but if you like slower family dramas and saga, like, I definitely recommend this. It's very unsettling. I just wish we got a few more answers to questions that our own narrator brought up to us and then just never really addressed. So I would have enjoyed that. However, that's okay. You know, not everything needs to have a perfect bow wrapped up, but it felt like this one was trying to have a little bow, and it just left a lot of room to hypothesize or not really feel like you were given a very clear-cut ending. So there's First Fruits. I was a little nervous that it would put me in a reading slump, like I said, and as I was going over all my shelves, I found / realized I never finished a book from this past autumn, and to be honest, this autumn was really challenging for me with reading. I was not enjoying what I was reading. I DNF'd so many books, it's laughable, because I was trying to get into a spooky little mood and nothing I picked up was spooky, and I went to and from the library so often. I was trying so hard to find a good book, and I was putting down almost everything I picked up. Life for Sale. This is by Yukio Mishima. This book was originally published in 1968. The English translation, because it is translated from Japanese, is by Stephen Dodd, and it wasn't translated until 2018. This novel is so interesting though. I love the concept and the premise of it is very thought-provoking and very interesting. We're following a Japanese businessman. His name is Hanyo, and he wants to unalive himself. He is sick of life. He just is struck with this idea one day that he needs to do it. He needs to end his life. He's unsuccessful in his attempt. So he decides, okay, maybe I can go out with a bang. Something can happen where my life can end, but like it'll be a little bit more meaningful. So he ends up putting his life up for sale in the Japanese like classified newspaper ads. And we are then taken on this very interesting odyssey, and we're meeting all of these really, really fascinating characters who want to purchase his life. And it's kind of donation based, you know, name your price, buy it for however much money. So he has people come to his apartment and say, I want to buy your life. You are going to do this for me. You get to learn about that character and their story, what they're going through. And then Hanyo intervenes in some way where I don't want to give anything away. The book perfectly kind of describes what you would encounter in reading this. So soon interested parties come calling with increasingly bizarre requests. And what follows is a madcap comedy of errors involving a jealous husband, a drug-addled heiress, poisoned carrots, and even a vampire. For someone who just wants to die, Hanyo can't seem to catch a break as he finds himself enmeshed in a continent-wide conspiracy that puts him in the crosshairs of both his own government and a powerful organized crime syndicate. So it is a very, very dark comedy. Hanyo is also a really interesting character where all of a sudden he'll do something very quirky and very out there, which I really, really enjoy reading characters like that, where it's just so unexplained. It's just very unapologetically happening, and then it's never talked about again. And I love that. I love that unseriousness in writing and novels and stories. I think it's wonderful. This author, though, Yukio Mishima, is a very interesting person. I would love to research a little bit more about him. He's done other works, and he actually ended up performing seppuku. It's just a very interesting author that I've never heard of. This was literally just on top of a massive on-the-floor pile of books at a used bookstore. So I just love finding fascinating people and cool things. And picking this up a second time has been really delightful. This is exactly what I needed after First Fruits, where I was getting a little anxious and apprehensive about picking up a new read. This is so fast-paced and so fun. Most of it's dialogue. It's very quirky, a lot of action, a lot of peculiar action. You're meeting so many different characters, which is really, really fun. You're always just kind of introduced to someone else. It has a little bit of a formula where he finishes an assignment, he starts a new one, but it's still not predictable, and I really, really enjoy that. So I needed something like this that was a little bit more tongue-in-cheek and funny. This is not funny. It's just very dry, pot of potatoes, which that's okay if that's your style. I just don't think it's mine exactly. I did go thrifting. It's not successful with finding a cool chair, but I did find cool, thrifted clothes, pastels. Oh my gosh. Oh, isn't that yummy? Look at all that. Look at those different textiles. Look at those different colors. It's so beautiful. A lot of stripes. I didn't realize I had so many stripes. Thrifted what I'm wearing. This is new. She's new. They're actually like two separate pieces. So I thought I would just do like a quick little thrift haul for you all. So as what you saw in probably the little montage bits, I did get this beautiful bright yellow, very comfy sweatshirt from the Ludington State Park, which I've never even been to. It looks kind of dingy in this light too, but it's honestly very bright. It's a very, very bright yellow. So I've been loving that one. Love just a baggy crew neck that makes me feel like I'm at like a cottage on a lake or something, you know? And then, oh my gosh, this is the softest, oh my gosh, material. A little lavender lilac little blouse. This one's so not normally me, but I love pink, and I've been needing pink in my life so much. I got this crunchy pinstripe little shirt. This reminds me of an art class as a kid when you would wear your teacher's old shirts. You'd wear your arms through like this, and then you'd button it in the back as a smock, and then you would just play with your paints. You know what I mean? You do that in elementary school. My art teachers all had this. So this just feels so nice to me. And then I got this very, very, very soft crop Oh, just breezy, airy, so comfy. As you can probably tell, I'm going back to my collared shirts. Even in high school, I always wore like a big baggy sweater with like a little collar underneath it. You know, she was an OG Tumblr girl, so of course I had to do that. Very intense collar here. It is a zip, so it feels a little athletic, but like very modern. These sleeves, this is what got me. These sleeves are just finished Life for Sale. I finished this so quickly. This was so much fun. This was exactly what I wanted, exactly what I needed, and I am just so thrilled that I picked this back up. I just realized that the 2 books that I read and finished in this vlog, I should say, were both books that I had just paused, kind of DNF'd in the fall, and now I've returned to both of them. And that was not the plan. And I love that that just happened, that there are these seasons where some books just really don't click. Sometimes it's nice not to fully DNF something, but just to come back to it, revisit it later when your headspace is a little bit different, when you're not looking for something specific. I think in the fall I was really just trying to find something I could immerse myself in and lose myself in a story. And I'm so glad I went back. I circled back to these reads that I so easily could have forgotten about, and I finished them. And I'm so, so grateful because this was so fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It has a lot of reminiscence to me of Murakami with its outlandishness, its absurdism, its surrealism. This is so satirical. I love how between all of the lines of quirky characters and bizarre situations that Hanyo found himself in, between those lines, if you really read through it, is this beautiful meditation on life and on death. It is about your choice to live, your choice to die, and what that means, and having that decision be your own, and choosing what to do with it and how to use it, how to use that power. There are also just some really interesting takes on society. Hanyo, I would say, is a pessimist, and he's not really interested in society as a whole. That's kind of, I don't want to spoil anything, but he looks down upon those who just kind of fall into the cadence of normal day society and everyday life of home ownership and children and marriage, and he really doesn't want to live that life. So his musings on people, his musings on not even necessarily government, but I guess just the way that what we would kind of classify as like suburban life or stereotypical cookie cutter lifestyle, what that looks like to someone who doesn't necessarily even want more for their life, but just doesn't want that. And that just seems like it's the only route you can go. It's like you have to do these life events in order. So I love that it touches on these topics that are so universal and so ubiquitous, even today, that it feels so relevant. This could have been written today. This could have been written yesterday. And the fact that it was originally published in the 60s is amazing and sad and scary that we as humans in a modern day world, like, we still grapple with these really, really big concepts of what is self and what is life and what is death and what comes after and what even is this world that we've created, or maybe we didn't have a hand in creating it, but we're just like thrust into it. So you can easily fall into this like existential wormhole, but you can also just read it as a really, really fun story. And that's why I also really love Murakami's writing. You can take it at face value for this surrealism and this colorful, vibrant, dreamy experience. But then you can also, there's always something more to it. There are always these other dimensions. If you just pick up a perspective and just kind of slowly move it around like a little Rubik's Cube, you can see something completely different. There's something about novels that are translated into English from Japanese that just like, it feels Like there are no unnecessary words. Like every sentence is just, it just feels like an icicle, like it's crisp and it's cool and it just cuts right to the point. It's like this dagger, it's sharp and it's poignant and it makes sense and you don't have to over-explain. There aren't any excessive lavish sentences or purple prose descriptors. It paints a picture so vividly and I loved this and I would love to read more by Mishima. I'm so happy I picked this up. I'm so happy I was just drawn to this little book. You can find cool books anywhere, everywhere. Please buy secondhand, check out local thrift stores, bookstores, just dig in the stacks, you know, get in there, like pull books out and look at them and read them. Like this is so wonderful and it got me so excited and the ending was beautiful. Oh, it was so good. This was so good. I loved it. I'm so happy I returned to it and what a wonderful first vlog back in a very long time, my friends. Very successful and I already feel so excited to pick out my next read. I'm between quite a few different books at the moment, so it might be quite arbitrarily chosen, but I'm hoping to have another vlog for you very soon because I feel like I'm back. I really do. Knock on wood, but you never know with me, okay? You never know, but I feel back. I feel like it's very easy sometimes to lose focus on what I enjoy personally, what I like. Giving authors and artists platforms that maybe they otherwise wouldn't get because they're such underrated pieces. And I'm just so passionate about that, about giving a voice to these works and sharing them with you all. Like, I honestly could cry just thinking about how many times y'all have said like, oh my gosh, I picked up this book because of you and it was amazing. And I'm like, that was just like this little book that went so under the radar and now that author has more of an audience and like that feels amazing. Like I feel like a connector. I feel like it's just a platform for these things and that's what I want to do. I just want to elevate others and that's really cool that I get to do that for you all and with you all. And you know, there is good. When things feel sad and scary, there is still good in the world and there's still good humanity and there's still art to be made, there's still art to be read, there's still art to be ingested. There are Winstons to love. Thank you. Just thank you so incredibly much for being here, my friends. I really can't thank you enough. Like it feels so good to be back vlogging. It feels so good to be back creating and this just feels really good to be back doing this. And I'm so grateful and I hope you had fun along the way. I hope it was good. I hope it felt nice. I hope it was just a moment where you can take it for yourself and get good connections, get good recommendations, inspire you to go thrifting, buy secondhand, all of those things. Like that's just genuinely what I hope for and what I want. With that being said, my friends, if you want to leave a comment but you're not sure what you want to say, please feel free to let us know what your favorite book of last year was. Let's make the comment section a book recommendation hub. If you don't want to be perceived in that way, that is totally fine and I totally get it. Please feel free to leave us a string of emojis that describe the book that you read or had something to do with like the cover art or how it made you feel. Just give us a lot of emojis that showcase the feeling of that book or play with the title, all those fun things. I would love to see your comments. I'd love to see the emojis. And thank you so incredibly much for being here again, friends. Thank you. And I can't wait to see you all again very soon. Until then, stay cozy, my friends. Bye.